I received this letter from a mother. Quote, "This morning was absolute chaos. I'm running around trying to get 3 children ready for school, clothes out, teeth brushed, breakfast eaten, and on and on and on, while repeating myself to them over and over what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm distracted by some phone calls I have to make for my home business this morning. And I see my husband over there watching something on YouTube while we're all racing to get ready. Sometimes I just want to scream." End quote. Most of us have had moments like this. So rather than answer this particular mother, I'm going to talk to all of us. Henry David Thoreau once said, "Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. I say, let your affairs," meaning your doings, "be 2 or 3, not 100 or 1,000. End of quote. Very wise. We simply cannot attend to 100 things at one time. We're doing quite well if we can adequately focus on one, which means we have to choose from moment to moment which one thing to focus on. Some people might call that setting priorities, but the phrase has become so commonly used that it's become more annoying than helpful. So let me make it even simpler in following the theme of what I'm talking about. It's not about what I'm going to do next. Everybody thinks setting priorities is about what we do. That immediately brings into view hundreds of possibilities, which is exactly what Thoreau recommended against, as I do. Don't have 100 or 1,000 things to do. What if instead we first asked, how do I want to feel? What if that was our first question? How did this mother who wrote me feel? Chaotic, stressed, pressured, afraid, angry, confused, and she was just a witch to everybody in the house. Does anybody like those feelings? Actually, some people do kind of enjoy the power and the excitement of it all. They like the drama of the chaos and crisis, but do you really want those feelings and the consequences of them, which is disorder and physical stress and exhaustion, fear, physical illness, constant turmoil, panic? Not really, no. Nobody wants that for long. They want the drama occasionally, but without the consequences. And the universe doesn't have laws that operate that way. So back to the question, how do you want to feel? Let's go over some feelings that I've learned that are universally desirable, even necessary, after uncounted thousands of conversations with people. 1, peace. Priceless. Even better than joyful, because joy builds on peace. If you don't have peace, you don't have genuine joy. You might have excitement. You can be misled by excitement, thinking that it's joy, but peace is much harder to counterfeit. We all want peace of mind, for sure, regardless of the circumstances around us. Do we get a sense of peace running around getting kids ready for school or bed or whatever? No. 2, loved. Can we feel unconditionally loved while running around in a panic? 3, loving. Can we be focused on unconditionally loving other people while we're focused on accomplishing endless lists of tasks and going as fast as we can? Impossible. 4, responsible. Can we take responsibility for how we feel in the midst of chaos and turmoil? Pretty tough. Impossible for most. 5, last, happy. Impossible when we're stressed and angry and all that other stuff. So we need to figure out the obstacles to achieving those feelings, those basic necessary feelings, and eliminate those. Obstacles are the first thing that has to go, even before building those positive feelings, love, peace, or anything else. For example, let's build a house on an old lake bed. Would that be wise to do? No. I lived in a neighborhood where an entire development was built on an old lake bed, and you have to do the elimination of obstacles first, the shifting of the foundation because it was on an old lake bed. Houses were cracking in two and splitting apart right through the living room. You have to eliminate the shifting foundation first. Before they built the tallest building in the world, which is the tallest by like a lot, over 1/2 mile high, It's built in Dubai. It's literally built, like an old parable says, on sand, and you wouldn't think that would work. But they pounded hundreds of huge concrete pylons deep into the sand to give it a footing before they built the first single thing, anything. You want to build an engine? First, you have to make sure the work environment is clean, because one little tiny pinch of sand will ruin the whole effort. We have to get rid of the obstacles. So let's apply elimination of obstacles to the mother and her chaotic mornings. We have to eliminate all the chaos and yelling and rushing. One at a time, we can identify and eliminate the causes of the chaos and rushing. I've gone over in the parenting training and other places how to prepare kids before. So I'm just going to touch on some of the things we can do. I talked to the mother yesterday, this mother I was talking about, who was late to her Skype call with me. So she's late to everything, and her kids are late to everything. Shocking. Why was she late? She said, "Oh, sorry, I was rushing to get my," sorry means nothing because she just keeps repeating it. "I was rushing to get my son out the door to the school bus." And I thought, really? I doubt that any of that is necessary, that rushing. And I said, "How old is your son?" She said, 13. Forgive me, but at that point I did laugh out loud. If your 13-year-old were given instructions to a place out in the desert that he didn't know, 10 miles away, and he was promised $1,000 if he got there at 8:30 a.m., would he be there on time? Bus or no? Yes, he would get there. He'd get there the day before and camp out the night before. So mom is rescuing the kid from something he can do by himself. Getting him to the school bus at age 13, does she cut up his meat and put it in his mouth? She's causing her own chaos and his, and not teaching and requiring responsibility, which he needs far more than being helped to the bus. Why teach responsibility? Because it leads to greater peace. How do you want to feel is the question. Do you remember? So how do you teach this in this particular case? The making excuses and the chaos and the being late to everything. This is to everybody. First, stop making excuses for your kids. Second, well, they were in a hurry. They were behind. They didn't have their clothes ready. Second, we need to teach them to be responsible. No more helping them get ready. And you stop helping them according to their age. But mostly, you don't have to do anything to help a child get dressed by the time they're 3, 4, tops. And I've watched parents dress their 12-year-olds. If they go to school, they're old enough to get ready for school. There's your guideline. I'm not joking. They go to school and they do things that are way more complicated to get their clothes on. And when they get to school, they take their clothes off and they put their coat back on. So if they're old enough to go to school, they can get ready for school. How do we teach them how to get ready? You instruct them once. You teach them to get up earlier. You show them how to get their clothing and everything ready the night before. And then you say, now, I will never tell you that again. You will be responsible for that from now on. And if you don't do it, I'm not going to rush around looking to help you do it. You will just experience the consequences. I will not look to even see if you're ready for the bus. This is almost impossible for most parents to hear. I'm not even going to look. If you're late, there are many possibilities, and you have to decide what's possible. If they're late for school, you walk to school. My kids did. No child had to walk more than once, and the younger ones watched the older ones walk once or twice and went, we're not doing that. So they got ready on time to go on the bus. Many parents say, oh, but it's a big road. Well, I'm laughing because if the kid wanted to get to the candy store on the major road, he'd make it just fine, and he'd stay on the shoulder of the road and he wouldn't be killed. But if that's a genuine obstacle, you can teach them how to get a taxi. You can teach them how to ride a bicycle. You can teach them how to get a ride with a friend. You can teach them any number of things, or they can stay home and lose their electronics for a week. I'm just pointing out I'm not giving you the solution for what you do when a child is late. I'm saying there is one. And there are consequences that if you make them sufficiently undesirable for your child, in missing the bus, for example, they won't miss the bus ever again. My kids didn't. And this is just about getting ready for school. It applies to arriving for meals, leaving for appointments, and on and on. What's the priority? It's not a thing. It's a feeling. Peace is our priority. And you get there with loving and teaching, including teaching responsibility. Calm. Why go to a place in chaos and everybody's upset and then hates the event? Why bother to go? Now, another priority. You can't administer the teaching all this if you don't feel peace, which requires that you feel loved and believe it and remember it and remind yourself of it. You are their foundation. You are their example. And all this is just one at a time, that we get rid of these obstacles and that we learn to prioritize peace. You feeling loved is the first priority of the day. So much simpler.